Well, Gauteng residents have been urged to prepare for a 19-day water maintenance that is scheduled to run from late June, basically tomorrow, until the mid of July. That is the 19th of July 2025. Now, the planned work aims to upgrade key infrastructure, but could also lead to water supply interruptions in several areas.
We have 4 systems, as you know, but 3 will be impacted. Let's start with Palmeet system. We're still going to be pumping at Palmeet. So it does not mean there will not be water at all. So people will still be getting water. It will be at a reduced pressure, so people will have water. And one would ask Palmeet, which pumping station does Palmeet supply water to? So Palmeet supply water to various areas. You're talking about City of Johannesburg, you're talking about Tshwane, Ekurhuleni, and Madibeng. So when you say Tshwane, we also need to emphasize that Ga-Rankuwa and Mabopane will be impacted. So City of Tshwane will be assisting should there be a need for them to come through with regards to water tankers. Yes, I can help, which is supplied by the Merridale and Waterfall reservoirs. So here we're talking about Johannesburg, we're talking about Mogale City, we're talking about Rand West, we're talking about Rustenburg, Merafong, and you know that there are mines in the areas of Rustenburg. So those will also be impacted, but we will still be supplying water at a low pressure, but they will be impacted, let's put it that way.
All right, let's further expand that discussion by welcoming Dr. Ferrial Adam, who's a water expert, and she joins us virtually to also bring us her input. Doctor, it's great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for your time today. So this is probably the third such maintenance in quick succession too. And from your expert knowledge, what do you think is now behind the purpose for this 19-day water outage in parts of the Gauteng province?
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me on your show. I think that it's necessary maintenance that we're seeing, and it's also something that we've been saying for a long time, that we need to keep up with our maintenance. And remember, this is on the Rand water side. So it's on the bulk water supplier side that they're going to be doing this maintenance. We need to see the similar kind of maintenance happening at a local government level, which we're not seeing as yet. So when you say this is the third time in succession that we're having different types of maintenance, I think that it's necessary maintenance and it helps to keep the system running properly.
Absolutely, Doctor. I mean, now Rand Water has been warning or advising residents to actually prepare by preserving and collecting water, and even trying outlining how the shutdown will actually be phased in terms of whether or not there will be completely dry taps or low water pressure. But this causes so much confusion, Doctor, leading to adverse effects, particularly on, families with children, like shortage of critical water for both ablution and even consumption purposes. So is there no easier way that they can undertake these bulk maintenance drives, you think?
I think, unfortunately, not at this point. I mean, I think because of our systems, our local government systems being so constrained, it makes it difficult. In a normal system, we should not be having so much of an impact received with regards to maintenance. What is happening is that, they're saying that, oh, no, we're not going to be shutting it all off. It's not going to be dry taps. We're going to have 50% pumping. The reality, though, is when you look at, say, for example, Johannesburg and the city of Johannesburg and Joburg Water, almost half of their reservoirs are not are leaking, right? So even if you reduce the flow and people are using the water from the reservoirs, there's not enough water to fill up the reservoirs. So then what you have is you do have outages, you do have long periods of people not having water. Unfortunately, you're right. Is there a better way that this can be done? I think there needs to be better communication between Joburg Water and Rand Water. And I also think that what happens in the next while is that we have to either put up your buckets now, get your 5 liters of drinking water, etc., from your taps now. But we need to make sure and understand where Joburg Water is going to be sending the water tanks, because they don't have enough. Have they prepared for that? So all the preparation we are hearing about is from the Joburg Water side. What is happening and what's the preparation level at the Rand Water side, not the Joburg Water side? So what is happening for the municipal level supply for many people? Where will the where will the tankers be? Will the water tankers? How will people access water, especially elderly? How are we going to make sure that people get water? So that plan, I think, is not good enough.
You know, Doctor, let's ride on that point, because I think you've read my mind here. I was just about to say there's still a serious challenge even when acquiring the said alternative water via the provided JoJo tanks or collection points. But the reality is that some of the most affected are the elderly, and as you've just said, can't even access the designated collection points in some instances. Yeah. And these tanks, Doctor, don't even reach these communities sometimes. As you know, we are still grappling with serious water security related issues nationwide. So how important are the considerations when planning such outages, especially if they'll be doing this in a prolonged manner? Let me look at the statement here, Doctor, just to add to the confusion by, of course, the official statement there. It says the overlapping maintenance schedules actually mean that some areas, particularly Crown Gardens and Eagle's Nest Reservoir, will then experience disruptions from multiple systems simultaneously, potentially compounding the impact on residents in these locations. So very cryptic messages, very difficult to understand, and no actual plan in terms of what are the alternative provisions there, Doctor.
Exactly. I mean, we've been saying this for a long time. Even though we don't support the infestation of our city water with water tanks, during this period, unfortunately, that is what's going to be our water supply. But they cannot tell us exactly where to get them, how long they will be there, and obviously they then run dry. They need to go back and refill. But have the same points that you are at, or drive around with a hooter or a whistle or ice cream truck siren or something, because people end up running around the streets trying to find water tanks. You have WhatsApp groups trying to spot water tanks. That is not what we should be doing. We need an easier way of understanding how to get water. I do know that in the last round, remember when there was no water in the east of Joburg, the water tanker drivers were being very sympathetic, and they were actually reversing and helping older people. So what we also need is, when you're having such a big outage or when you have such big maintenance, have people on the ground that can help communities. Which of your areas are going to be hardest hit. They know. So have your people on the ground. If you have to be carrying the buckets of water for people, then that's what you need to do.
Doctor, while we're still on this, I mean, there's a mushrooming trend now of water mafias or alleged water mafias in the country, while we're still dealing with the issue that we've got overgrown infrastructure when it comes to the water pipes and systems need to be maintained and so forth. But what type of direction do you think as a country, particularly the water department, do we need to start, be looking at in terms of alternative ways to ensure that we don't find ourselves without water in the near future?
I think there's a few things that we can do. The one thing that we need to do is we need to increase the budget for municipalities to maintain their infrastructure.
Absolutely.
That is not happening. So that is the first point of call. Let us do that. Let's increase that money. I know they talk about ring fencing. There's a whole lot of processes that, so the ring fencing was supported in the Joburg Council, for example, in December. But there's no push to move towards getting those things done in terms of legislation. So we need to make sure that those things happen, that we have ring fencing of funding. But it's not just about the ring fencing of funding. It's about the increased budget to deal with the maintenance. So that is something that has to be done as urgent as possible. And I think also we need to start seeing that companies are blacklisted. So if, for example, where we saw those stats of a company threatening the gift of the givers, I think it was, during the Eastern Cape floods, they knew who it was. It's a known company. They have a contract with the municipality. Those companies must be charged and they must be blacklisted. And until we don't do that, we are allowing this mafia to rise, and we're allowing our water to be controlled by a few people. And that is the challenge. So we need to act with urgency. Right. And the other good thing is civil society's voice and eyes on the ground. It's It's so valuable, and I think it's understated sometimes.
Absolutely, Doctor. And I mean, all of this, planned water maintenance shutdown in the midst of the water minister and sanitation minister there handing over a completed module 2 of the Klipdrift water treatment works. I mean, so there are ongoing efforts, but they need to be intensified. Doctor, what a great discussion. Thank you so much for your input this afternoon. That is Dr. Ferrial Adam there. She's a water expert on the planned Joburg water maintenance that will come into effect as of tomorrow until the 19th of July. You are, of course, advised to maintain or preserve some water because it's going to be quite a long time before your taps will have water.